So I'm out here today at the Western Herd Brewing Company. It's a really fantastic day, blue skies, and it certainly is a day for a fantastic craft beer anyway, that's for sure.
Yep.
First of all, tell us who you are and about the Western Herd Brewing Company.
My name is Michael Eustace, and together with my sister Maeve, we set up this brewery last year. We 2 years in the planning, and we finally got it up and running last November. We're situated on our old family farm, and this is actually a converted hay shed we're sitting in now, and the other side of the brewery is an old milking parlour that we knocked in together and fitted out, put all this stuff into.
Fantastic. So where does the idea come from to just go ahead and start a brewing company?
I suppose I was working in Dublin for about 5 years in a pub up there, and I kind of saw the way it was going, that more and more there's people coming in asking about it, beer, what other beer do you have, what other beer do you have? They were all sick of the I suppose the usual stuff. And then you start doing a bit of research into it, and you start getting into the beer yourself, and then you start looking what's going on in America, because what happens over there generally comes over here, over time obviously. But the beer scene in America is all crap. It's gone totally away from the mainstream brands. So I got sick of living in Dublin, and I kind of wanted to come home, and we were thinking, what could we do? And we said we'd go and do this.
But it's one thing to turn around and go, well, let's set a brewing company, because people can see behind us. I mean, stuff costs a lot of money, there's a lot of investment needs to be made even to just start up for a craft brewery.
I'm being a bit disingenuous. It wasn't that haphazard. We planned this for about 2 years, like between going to brewing courses and studying equipment, processes, everything, where you're going to get your stuff, costing everything, and I suppose nothing that we read or did told us that we couldn't do it. So we just did it.
Just did it, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so you begin with this idea. Did you realize how much work was involved, or did you think that this was going to be just set it up?
I remember ringing a guy down in Cork. He's the guy that I get my malt off, and telling him I was going doing this, and his answer was, "You know, there's a tablet you can take for that, like, to cure yourself if you want that want to go off you." But no, there's a Trojan amount of work in it. You don't really realise it if you get stuck into it, and then you're probably gone too far at that stage to go back, you know. But I'm still very glad that we did it. It's really enjoyable.
And it looks as if, as well, that you've got some very interesting things happening with Western Herd at the moment as well. Let's talk about the market first of all. You're predominantly in Clare. How is that going for you?
Well, I suppose there's a guy above the list of Ireland, Peter Curtin, that's doing beer, but we were the first production brewery in Clare since Billy Early, and there was no market as such. We've had to make our own market here. A lot of people see the value in it, and it's gaining traction, but it can be tough. Like when you're the first into any race, I suppose. But
absolutely,
at the same time, it's enjoyable. You're out there, you're meeting people, you're showing them the value of it, what it can add to their business by having local beer inside your pub or your off license or your supermarket, whatever it may be. And it brings a different clientele in then. People, like, we have a pub inside in Ennis ourselves, and we have people coming into the pub now that said they hadn't been out drinking in 3 or 4 years because there was no place to go to get the beer that they wanted to drink. So the crowd are there for it. It's just, I suppose, giving them what they want.
I have to admit, I am one of those people that go into your pub. It's a fantastic place. But the most important thing about all of this is it's great to have an idea, to go into it, to put all the investment in it. But of course, at the end of the day, it's about taste as well. So how did you go about making sure that what you were putting out there was the best that you could make it?
Well, that was the tricky part.
He says exasperated.
Yeah, I was a home brewer myself, and then I went over to England and we did a course over there for a week, myself and my brother-in-law, and we came back, and if there was one thing we took out of that week, it was we need to get a professional brewer. So there's a web page over in America that all the professional brewers use. It's near like Facebook for brewers over there, and we advertised on that, and we had an unbelievable amount of replies. There was like 16 to 20 guys looking to come over. And then it was just pretty much going through CVs and trying to pick the guy that had worked in the best breweries, and that's what we did. We singled out Adam. We did it. No, Adam's the old brewer, Ray's the new brewer. We singled out Adam and had a Skype interview. It was that simple. Flew him over to have a look last February, 12 months. He liked the look of the place, and we got him a work visa, and that was it.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And
yeah, when I look back now, I'm kind of going, yeah, we actually did all that. But yeah,
yeah, but isn't that the sense of achievement though as well? That if you took it from 2 years ago, where you now were now, or
Yeah.
even 2 years into planning, and all of a sudden you've got
Well,
you've
even
got a
s-
brew pub and you've got a brewery.
yeah, even 6 months ago, we've come a long way. But I suppose sense of accomplishment is one thing. It doesn't pay the bills. You know, you have to sell beer. You have to get it out there. You have to
Passion
meet
isn't
people,
enough.
go to the pubs. You have to go out and try and get it out there. Like, the one thing we do have is we have a quality product. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we have a really, really good beer, and the reviews that we've got, that's what we're finding off people. Like, anywhere we've gone with it, it's sold. So I mean, that's, we'd be very happy with that, I suppose.
And is that literally what you have to do? Is take cask or take bottles, walk into places and go, here, try it, put it on tap?
Yeah.
Is that literally what you have to do to make sure that people buy the product?
It kind of, yeah, it's pretty much that simple. You walk in, you go, this is what we're doing, it's local beer, will you give it a go? We've been lucky that some people have actually approached us to, like the likes of John Burke up in the Armada and Doolin Hotel. He's been brilliant. Came in, saw the place, yeah, love what you're doing, what can you give me? Before we'd even met a drop of beer. So to know that, I suppose, those kind of businesses are supporting you, it kind of gives you a bit of a, I don't know, a bit of a boost, I suppose, to know that there's interest in what you're doing.
Is the difficulty as well, because we were kind of chatting before we started recording as well, that you have the huge brewers, of course, the international brewers as well, who are paying bars and pubs and restaurants to keep their taps on and stuff like that as well, and you've got to go in and try and compete with that. Obviously you can't do that because you don't have the money to do that.
The thing is, this is happening in Ireland now, but it happened in America 20 years ago, and the bigger breweries, they ignored it. They thought it was a fad, it wasn't going to work. Suddenly they'd lost 20% of their market share, these craft breweries, and they panicked, so they started buying them up. So obviously the guys over here, they've seen it happen over there before, so they're trying to get out ahead of the curve over here. So I mean, they're putting out all their new beers now, they're getting creative, and I suppose it's just trying to
Keep pace.
keep market share. Yeah, that's what it is for them. They're trying to get out ahead of the curve and not have to do what they did over in the States, whereby that was spending big money just buying the breweries because they couldn't compete with them. Yeah, so I mean, it's difficult, obviously. You can't compete with the likes of a Diageo or a Heineken or Coors. Like, they're monsters.
Massive,
you know?
yeah.
Like we're in a hay shed in West Clare. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's just you're a different playing field altogether.
We talked as well about, I mean, there was examples as well, people like Franciscan Well and stuff like that. What's the ultimate goal here for you guys? I mean, it's not always going to be about Clare.
Yeah, it's probably a really, really bad answer, and your bank manager probably wouldn't want to hear it, but there actually is no ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is just to keep, I suppose, or the goal at the minute is just to keep selling beer, keep making beer, trying to grow a little bit, get outside of Clare, and then maybe get outside of Ireland. But at the minute, like we're 3 months, 4 months into what's probably a 10-year plan. You know, it's very hard to see the wood for the trees sometimes. You just got to concentrate on what you're doing at the minute. And at the minute, we're trying to look after the accounts we have, and hopefully pick up another account or two every week.
And is that particularly dealing with an Irish market as well, where people would consider that drinks-wise, there's a lot of big sales. Irish people obviously love to go to the pub, etc. But that with something new like this, it's a slow burn, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. A lot of our customers, I suppose, would be, they're 28 and up, really, 25 and up maybe, to be fair to them. And a lot of them, the kids, they drink at home. So a lot of your sales won't be in pubs, they'll be on off license, they'll be in supermarkets. So you've got to try and get your beer out everywhere. You can't just go, right, let's get into the pubs, because you could be alienating 70% of your clientele who don't go to pubs anymore because they have 3 kids at home. Yeah. So you're literally having to try and get out there everywhere. But yeah, it's tough. But you just got to do it.
Absolutely, yeah. So how do you develop that kind of, because you've got a dual kind of model that you have to think about, which is that you have to have the kegs, etc., for your bars, your restaurants, hotels, etc., but you also have to have your bottles for off license. Are they 2 different markets to sell to, and how hard is that?
They are, but they're not mutually exclusive. They're two different sides of production, really. You have your kegging, which is rapid. You fill a keg, it's gone. Then you have your bottling, which is labour intensive. We made the decision at the start to do everything in-house. You can farm out your bottling to other companies if you want, but we said we had the space and we got a small bottling line, so we do everything here. Every bottle of beer that we have comes out of here at the minute. Whether that will always be the case, I don't know, because bottling takes an awful lot of time, it's labour intensive and it's slow, and the bigger machines cost a fortune. So for someone like us, you know, you can't go out and spend €1 million on a bottling line that can service Heineken. You know, you can't do that. The money isn't there. It just doesn't make financial sense. So it is almost like two different production days. One day you're kegging, another day you're bottling, and you need extra bodies out here to give you a hand doing it. We're lucky. My friends have been very supportive. They've come out. If they have a day off, they come out and give us a hand. If people are inquisitive as well about a brewery, and I suppose they want to come out and see it, and they don't mind just mucking in for the day, you know.
Absolutely.
So you need a lot of help from friends and family when you're doing something like this, because while you try and cost it out as best you can, you're still taking a bit of a leap of faith at the end of the day, like, you know. So it's worked out so far anyway.
What about, I suppose personally for yourself, is there always that constant kind of wondering what next week is going to bring, or do you kind of, how do you do that? You're laughing, or I haven't even finished the question.
Cash flow. Yeah, you are, like, you have a good week and you're kind of going, right, are they all going to come back again next week looking for beer? And yeah, you're first. Look, people tell you this. If you read any of the articles online, or you look at any of the interviews online from brewers in America or Ireland or any of the lads, they all say the same thing. For the first 6 months to a year, you're just worried about cash flow. You're trying to get product out, trying to get money in, because we get our product out, and every time you're growing. So if you sell, say, 10 cases of beer this week, and you're growing, then you've got to buy ingredients to make 20 cases the next week. So you're constantly ordering ahead of yourself, while your production is less than what you're ordering. So you're always spending money to make more, and you're trying to get money in to pay for it. And it can be difficult.
Is there also a difficulty as well, because I know a number of brewers in craft brewers in Ireland have started up, and they've started off just making one product to make sure that product sells, and they've got that base. You're on 3 or 4 from the beginning at least.
We've done 7 already.
Yeah. So I mean, how do you kind of figure that into the equation as well? Is that not more work for yourself, or are you trying to give people variety?
It is, but we looked at it, and even though craft beer is relatively new in Ireland, we're still a little bit late to the dance. You know, I would have liked to have this up and running 2.5 years ago, not now. So when we launched, we decided we couldn't just launch with one beer, because it would have been maybe a little bit boring. So we took the decision to do 4 or 5. Now, we were also lucky that we have the pub inside in town that we took on. It gives us the freedom that we can brew small batches out here and sample it inside in the pub, see what the lads like, and if they don't, and the ladies, if they don't like it, go away and do something different. And we've just made that decision that we're trying to do a new beer every 2 months. That's what we're trying to do, because you have to stay current. That's the thing with craft beer. People will drink your beer for so long, then they move on to the next one, move on to the next one. Even our beers that we do put out, the likes of Siege, which is our pale ale, Blue Jumper, we tweak them all the time, just to try and keep it interesting for people, so that that's the beer I had the last time, but they've done something different with
Slightly
it.
different,
Just to keep it evolving, and then you can go back and brew it the way you did it 2 months before that. It's just, you're trying to give people something different all the time, because the craft beer drinker, he wants something different, or she wants something different.
And is the bricks and mortar side of it, the pub, why did you decide to open up a pub? Because brew pubs and things like that aren't that common at all in Ireland. So why did you decide to add the pub onto
the pub
this already? As if you weren't stressed.
Yeah, the pub was never actually part of the plan.
Oh really?
No, it wasn't. No, the pub was never part of the plan. The pub came up May last year. The pub came available, and it was a pub I always liked inside in town, and I suppose my sister liked it as well. So we looked at it, and it just made sense then to do it. You also have things like, you have the flag coming up this year in Ennis, you have the flag again next year, although we didn't know that at the time. But and I just knew myself from looking in the off licenses around town, there was such a growing selection of craft beer in the off licenses that there had to be someone drinking this stuff. So we just said, look, there has to be a market there for it. So we went with it, and we designed the pub ourselves, friends, family, we did all the work ourselves, and it took us about 5 or 6 weeks to get it up and running. But yeah, it turned out nice. People seem to like it.
Yeah, it is. It's a lovely place. And what way does it work? Does your income from that help to supplement this, or is it vice versa, or are they two separate things? Trying to juggle them, or?
We've been lucky that the pub has given us the chance to grow this steadily. We've been able to go out and see, right, we think the beer will sell here, let's go there, as opposed to what's known in craft beer industry as the scattergun approach, where you just get it out everywhere at the start of the panic if you're trying to make sales. The pub has given us a bit of freedom that we can target where we want to go. We weren't in a panic to get it out to distributors or anything. We can pretty much do it in our own time, and I suppose that's been really, really good. It's helped with cash flow and everything. Yeah. So the pub was a good move. Looking back on it now.
Yeah,
I'm glad we did it.
Yeah. But it was never planned, though. You never went to
it was never part of the original business plan. No, the pub was something that just we kind of fell into.
And how do you sway yourself into doing something like that? Because obviously, when you starting up a business, you have a plan, and that plan, okay, it shifts every couple of months because of things react. But that's a monumental step, surely, at the time to do that in your business.
It was. I suppose I've been involved in a pub in Dublin for 5 years, so.
So you knew what it was about, really.
Yeah. It wasn't like I'd never worked in a pub before. I could see what it was going to be, and it just made sense. The more we looked at it, it just made sense, and I couldn't come up with any kind of proper reason not to do it.
Yeah.
So we just went ahead and did it then, and then the pub kind of took over for a while because we opened in November, straight into Tradfest in Ennis, and then rolling into Christmas when the pub was absolutely crazy busy, and the brewery then kind of took a back seat early to February before we started getting in here again and started actually trying to push the beer. So I suppose we're kind of maybe 3 or 4 months, maybe 5 months behind where I thought we would be with this at this stage. But I mean, that's just, something has to give. You can't do everything. We were working 100 hours a week, so it was crazy stuff there over Christmas. But you have to roll back at some stage.
Absolutely, yeah. And what's the future of this then? You're going out there, you're trying to get it out to different places. What's the plan perhaps for the next 3 years?
Yeah, we're toying at the minute with the idea of getting a canning line. Cans seem to be the way craft beer is going in the States, in England, even in Ireland. Metalman have started canning.
That's right, yeah.
And the USC Whiplash above, they've started canning as well. There's mobile canning units coming into Ireland. So, yeah, that's probably the next logical step.
What's the difference, though? What does that add to your market, canning as opposed to
cans
bottling?
are better for your beer, first of all.
Really?
Yeah. There's no oxygen can get in, no light strike. They're more environmentally friendly. They're easier to transport. They're better all around. I mean, the only thing you can say about a bottle that's better than can is that a bottle looks prettier. It actually, and I suppose it's more traditional than a can. But if you break it down into what's better for my beer, can or bottle, can wins every time. There's no competition whatsoever.
Wow.
But there is that, like, I suppose that association people have with cans is that they're cheap. So, but that has been blown out of the water in America and in England now. Like the Beavertown, Brewdog, they're all canning.
That's right, yeah.
They're all canning. It's the way to go. If you're trying to export your beer, you can get more into a container. It's cheaper for the importer to ship it. It's lighter. So,
and I imagine it's better for your bottom line as well. Surely is it cheaper to produce a line of beer cans than it is bottles? Or less labour intensive, perhaps?
It depends on the line. It depends how much you're willing to spend. I mean, Ray used to work in Maui out in Hawaii, and they had $1 million canning line that ran non-stop, like they, But I mean, I'm not going to spend £1 million on a canning line anytime soon. I don't think. I hope I do, but
someday.
I'm not planning on it. Yeah. But that's probably something we're toying with at the minute, is maybe putting a canning line in. We have the room for it, so we'll see. Maybe 6 months down the line. We'll get over to summer first and see how we're going then.
Absolutely, yeah. And these beautiful looking vats behind us as well. That's a lot of infrastructure too. So if you get busier and you need to start making bigger batches, I mean, is that another big investment? Or
we probably wouldn't. We'd add more tanks. We wouldn't actually get bigger tanks than what we have. We just would add more.
Okay.
And we'd probably brew more often. We're dictated here by our kettle size. Our kettle is here. This is where we boil up the beer. So this is 1,600 litres. So we can't brew any more than that. We can double brew. We've 3,200 litre fermenters, so we can double brew into them. But we're literally governed by our kettle size. So if we want to upscale the whole thing, we really would have to upscale our kettle, which I'm not really planning on doing at the moment anyway. I might add a few more tanks in a year's time or 6 months' time, depending how we go. But that would be the next logical expansion step, would be adding tanks before you actually look and go, right, do we have to upsize everything?
Yeah.
We're not anywhere near.
And I've noticed a number of brewers saying that instead of going out and buying bigger tanks, they just add more smaller tanks to what they're doing. Is it just an infrastructure cost, or is it just
it's cheaper? If I was to put in a bigger kettle, I probably have to get a bigger hot water tank, have to get a bigger mash tun. You're probably having to build everything up. Whereas if you just add tanks, you can just brew more in your kettle. So now you can have your kettle running maybe 5 days a week as opposed to 2 days a week.
Yeah.
So it's economy of scale, really. the market share isn't there yet to go off and have a 10,000 litre kettle. You know, that's just, it's not realistic at the minute. But we could probably do it another 2 tanks already. But we probably won't get it for a while. Yeah.
Let's just see how everything else falls first.
We'll see how the pieces fall by another
And
6
most
months.
importantly, if people want to find out more about what you're doing, and of course where they can buy it, where can they do that?
westernherd.com. The website goes live next week. You can call into us in the pub, the queues on Parnell Street in Ennis. We're slowly getting outside of Ennis. We were in a drink store in Stony Batter, and we were on draft in Mulligan's in Stony Batter as well, which is the craft beer pub, the great pub. So we're slowly but surely getting out there.
Absolutely, yeah. And I probably shall be in your premises at some time
No
over the balcony on the weekend. But listen, thanks very much. It's been fantastic to come out here, see what you're doing, and hopefully see where the future brings for you as well.
No problem. Thanks for calling.
Take care of yourself.
All right, sound.